cannolis, and welcome to another episode of the Positude podcast. I've been gone a few weeks. Did you miss me? And boy, do I have some clippies to share with you. But first, probably the hottest topic of the week. There are a lot of rumors going around on the clippies that Netanyahu is not on the earth any longer. Nobody's confirming it, but a video was put out of him speaking on stage. However, if you look closely, his right hand had 6 fingers on it. AI much? But I guess the more the fingers, the better to hold your coffee. And speaking of which, do you have your beverage ready? Are you in your comfy clothes? Nestle up in your favorite spot and let's get started. If you're having a snacky snack, you might want to finish it in the first part of the program because later on I have a clippy that might make you a little bit upset in the tummy. Well, that one might hit hard. It's just social media in general anymore. It's all about getting your energy working and seeing what kind of feelings they can elicit from you, and in some cases how they can harvest and use that energy. The internet's going, all right, you're tired, your brain is soft, let's see how weird we can make this. Because especially during the nighttime hours, the algorithm stops showing normal stuff. No more cooking videos, no puppies, no travel photos. It seems like it's just internet documentaries filmed by somebody sitting in their truck. And while I can maybe appreciate the potential acoustics of sitting in your vehicle, doesn't anybody own a home anymore? Or is that also psychological? Like, hey, look at me, I'm so busy, I just stopped to educate the world in my 2 minutes in my vehicle before my trip into the grocery store or on my lunch break. So tonight, let's lean into the weird a little bit and the unexplained. I have a clippy about bees. This one guy decided to take pictures of Jesus and Mary and put them on the hives, I think in an effort to bless them. And what he discovered was that the bees would not cover up the faces of either Jesus or Mary. And he took several pictures and did it several different times and got the same result. They would never cover their faces. So he tried other faces of like movie stars and rock stars, those they covered entirely with honeycombs. Seemed like the bees went, yeah, management, we know better. And with the rock stars, we're drywalling over this one. And I got a clippy about a Doritos commercial that never existed, or at least never made it famous. Apparently years ago, somebody made a commercial for a Doritos contest, submitted it, never won, never aired, but people are now remembering it. Is this another instance of the Mandela effect? Because people are getting a hold of him, telling him how they have distinct memories of what they were doing when the commercial aired and how they were actually trying to recreate it and stuff like that. They have whole memories built around that commercial that was supposed to have aired for a Super Bowl, but it was a contest. And the winner was to have received $1 million. And the guy never won, and he never got the $1 million. But seemingly hundreds of people remember that he did win. That poor guy had to reevaluate his whole mental state. So either reality glitched or Doritos invented the most powerful marketing strategy ever. Don't show the ad, just gaslight the country. And I got a clippy about politics and the wonderful Kathy Hochul, who apparently re-entered New York into the Who. At this point, I trust the bees more than the government because the bees have standards. They see a face they don't like, they're just going, cover it. No debate. Wax. Too bad they're not beauticians and couldn't do it to her at her next appointment when she goes to get her upper lip waxed. And of course, I've got the Mundami antics from the last couple of weeks. It's not all-inclusive of all of the tricks he's pulled, but at least it'll give you an idea that nothing's changed. It's only getting worse. For instance, a criminal showed up at the mayoral residence during Ramadan for dinner, and I'm just sitting there thinking, New York politics is like a detective novel now. Ramadan dinner, the mayor's house, criminal appears. Meanwhile, somewhere a hive has his photo taped on it, and the bees are whispering, yeah, cover that one twice as thick. I also have a clippy about New York nonprofits. There are 13,000 of them in the city. At this point, it's not nonprofits, it's the nonprofit industrial complex. There are nonprofits that exist to help other nonprofits apply for nonprofit status. Welcome to the foundation of supporting foundations. And the last time I did a show for you guys, I played a clip of the song Ring My Bell by Anita Ward. Do you remember it? Go back and listen to the archives. Well, that show and that song struck a chord in me, and I couldn't figure out for days afterward why I kept hearing that song in my head on repeat over and over and over again. I couldn't wash it out, it seemed like. And then I discovered this clippy that apparently that particular song is a manifestation frequency song to manifest things, which now completely makes sense to me. But also makes me wonder the next time in the grocery store hearing it on music or whatever, if it's going to manifest me my locatelli cheese that I haven't been able to find there in several weeks. I also have a clippy of a kid at a rave club whose lifelong dream was to DJ at a rave club and swears that they're now infested with demons. Demons. Listen, a lot of us went to raves in the 90s. If demons were there, they were polite then. They were hugging people, passing out glow sticks, and offering water, right? If those were demons, they were the friendliest ones ever back in the day. But guess what? Times have changed. And also, I got a clippy about energy. And the real reason everything feels chaotic is because, as we've talked about many times before on the show, bad guys are harvesting our human energy, fear, anxiety, and stress. And honestly, that explains social media perfectly. The algorithm is basically a digital anxiety buffet. Welcome back. Here's 47 new things to panic about before breakfast, right? And the one that I was telling you about earlier, speaking of breakfast, make sure you have your snack early because I also have to talk about lab-grown human meat and human meat potentially being served to us in our food at the supermarket and at fast food restaurants. We've broached this before, but I wanted to share this because it sounds like it's becoming potentially more of an issue. So I want everybody to be aware of it, but I will give you the heads up before that if you've got kids in the room to get them out and have them go listen to something else. And if you're in your office, yeah, you might want to put your headphones in for that one. Also, though, we got some good news, or actually some fun stuff. Today, depending on what station you're listening to me on, is St. Patrick's Day. We're going to be talking about the Irish, but also the combination of Irish and Italian families in the Northeast. Yep, they get along. They marry each other all the time up in the Northeast. Mix them together and you get the ultimate household. One side yelling, one side cooking, everybody arguing about pasta, and a grandma somewhere saying, "Eat, you look thin."
Some guy said to me, "What's your love language?" I said, "Come again." I said, "I'm Italian with the Jewish soul. Americans say love language. Italians and Jews, we say eat. Did you eat? Are we eating? I made extra. Take some home." My love language, leftovers.
I entirely support that message. And I've got some other fun clippies for you too. I've got one with Angelina Jolie. But first I want to spend a few minutes on integrity and talking about how the world is nowadays. Has anybody else been experiencing more and more the lack of integrity and the lack of people keeping their word, saying they'll do something and then don't, sometimes repeatedly? And for those of us that were raised with morals and values, it's sort of a bitter pill to swallow, and it's frustrating at the same time. Now, the people that I'm referring to particularly are not the younger kids, because let's face it, they don't have any concept, for the most part, of integrity or what it means to keep your words or striving to achieve and do a good job. The responsibility factor is out the window because most of them were raised without consequence, and they were raised that every kid gets a trophy and all of that. What I'm speaking to particularly is people our age, like the Gen Xers and the people that are close to our age. So, they were pretty much raised with the same value systems that we were, especially if they're people that you've known for years and you know their family background. But what I'm finding is, in many cases, those people that you thought were good people or that you gave the benefit of the doubt to, or that you've even been friends with for a while maybe, could be a family member, all of a sudden, it's like they've lost all sense of moral compass. They will say whatever they need to say and then not follow through. And it's not even where I could blame it on the instance of people that have taken the jab and their forgetfulness, because some of the people that I've been dealing with haven't taken the jab. It's almost like everything that they've been learned their entire life has gone out the window and they simply don't care. It takes a lifetime to earn trust, but a second to lose it. And I'm also prone to giving people the benefit of the doubt because I can understand that situations happen and things occur in which they maybe weren't able to keep their word initially, but the people that I've always surrounded myself with or tried to surround myself with will apologize and come through shortly thereafter. But that's not been the case recently. What I've learned over the years, especially in my training, is that if somebody tells you something 6 or 7 times that they're going to do and they don't do it, then it becomes a lie. There's no other word for it. And I'm the type of person that over the years has learned grace and learned forgiveness and learned patience. Not as much as I'd like. I don't think anybody will ever get to the point in their life where they can consider themselves perfect. Certainly not myself. But I've made very big strides in the course of my life to be the best person that I could be. And what bothers me more than anything is because of the way that I'm built, I can instantly tell and feel the vibration around a person's words as to whether or not they're telling me the exact truth, whether they're fibbing, whether they're lying, whether they're giving me one scenario when in fact it's something entirely different. See, I see all that and I feel all that. And so you've heard me say before, sometimes these gifts aren't always a blessing. This is one of those scenarios because I don't want to believe sometimes, even when the writing's on the wall, that that person would deliberately mislead me. However, my intuition is definitely telling me otherwise, telling me to be sensible, to use my discernment, to practice everything that I've learned over the years and be able to apply that to my situation, and also to step back and take a look at the situation as an outsider so that I can be fair. And at the end of the day, when it falls short, sadly so, and I'm seeing these visions in my head and I'm hearing what's been handed to me, I'm like, okay. So basically this is somewhat BS, what I'm being told. And it comes to a point where eventually you just have to give it up, pray on it, and say that person showed their true colors. I can also understand from the other person's perspective, if they've repeatedly promised something and then didn't deliver, how they might feel a sense of guilt or shame or embarrassment and then be afraid to approach you, which is utterly ludicrous to me because we're all adults here. None of us are children. And we can speak to each other as adults and carry on, or should be able to carry on a conversation and work through the snags and get everything resolved. But there again, the easy way out is just to ignore it, try to pass that along to somebody else so you don't have to deal with it, and simply play the part of whatever their role is that they choose to play, whether it be the martyr or what have you. I had another situation where somebody that I've been friends with for almost 12 years, we've talked about this before, has a pattern of whenever I'm around and they need something, all of a sudden the conversation's flowing and I'm getting 3 and 4 and 5 phone calls and texts a day. And then when the situation at hand subsides, that person just simply falls off the face of the planet for several months and doesn't respond to my text, doesn't respond to my attempted phone calls, just totally blows me off until the next time that they need something. And then when they're confronted about it, they immediately turn narcissistic. Well, I had this, that, and the other going on. Well, you know what? We're all busy. Facts of life is everybody's got something going on in the course of the day. Everybody's got their own personal struggles, and we should strive to understand that and relate to that and be empathetic to the other person. But again, when it becomes a habit, you kind of need to dust off your sandals and move on, especially if it's something that's been a repeated pattern behavior. And that pattern in particular happens to be closely affiliated with a lot of the traits of narcissism. So I've had this happen several times throughout the past couple of months with a handful of people. And let me reiterate, they haven't taken the jab. They've been pretty solid from what I've known of them up till now. But all of a sudden, because of where they are in their lives, in their paths, and my discernment growing stronger on the minute, because of the amount of work that I've done and the amount of intuition that flows, it's time to say, okay, what's going on? I can't be the only person that's feeling this. I know that some of you out there must be dealing with the same types of situation. And the frustration, again, that's circling around that. So what we need to do is just take a step back, take a deep breath, know that it's nothing that we did wrong, and not feel guilty for if there's been a repeated time or instance where someone's promised you something or said they were going to do something and then doesn't come through. It's not our responsibility to take on their burdens. Whatever they chose to do in their lives, whatever their decisions were that they made, that's on them. That's their free will as to how they choose to handle it. And when they ignore, when they ghost, when they get snotty about it, when they're confronted and it's been something that's been a pattern, then that gives you a little bit more of insight into their personality and further solidifies the decision that this isn't somebody that you really want to trust in your inner circle. Not only, especially in these times, do we need to set boundaries, but we need to have guidelines, and we can give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Absolutely. But when it's a repeated pattern, they have the problem. There's a problem there and they need to fix it. And that's up to them to work on themselves and get that resolved. Certainly not something that you should be carrying around inside yourself. And I was having a very lengthy conversation with a woman the other day that I just happened to meet by chance, who's just like me. And we were talking about these types of experiences. And she's been encountering the same type of situation with people that were in her circle. And she was just as frustrated and confused about the situation as I was initially, until I realized something that's inherently important that I think I'd been overlooking, at least partially. Or maybe I just didn't want to see it. Maybe I wasn't ready. But here's the deal. Not everybody has the same type of personality makeup. Not everybody is going to deal with their problems the same way that I do and this woman does. And see, we were raised to be go-getters. We were raised to follow through on our word. And we were also always called problem fixers, or people that were brought into a situation to get it under control when nothing else seemed to be falling into place. We are the people that would get everybody together, get the job done, and follow through. What we didn't do was buckle under pressure and turn around, tuck tail, and hide because we were afraid of confrontation. What we did, especially both of us being in positions of authority and management, was we needed to call the person aside, speak to them, explain to them the situation, and then in the case of an employee-employer relationship, set boundaries and give them a verbal warning and then a written warning if it was necessary to do so, that they needed to follow through on their job or on their word, because accountability. So those are our personalities. We're troubleshooters by nature. But depending on the personality type that we're dealing with, because of the energies on the planet, because of the negativity, because of the stress and strains that they might have brought upon themselves. Some people suffer with self-defeating syndromes in which they set themselves up to fail by biting off more than they can chew. And their intentions aren't necessarily bad. It's that they want to achieve something, but they're really not physically and mentally prepared to go the whole length of the way. Something inside of their psyche is holding them back from being successful because somewhere deep inside of them, there's been some sort of trauma where they don't feel as though they deserve success or they deserve to be successful. And until and unless they get those internal conflicts resolved, things are never, unfortunately, going to change for them. And that's one of the things, one of the many services that I offer for my clients is I work on resolving those hidden traumas, and sometimes those can be related to a spiritual issue, oppression or possession. But also I'm certified in NLP trauma. So there are many different avenues that I can take based on the person's degree of trauma and what they're suffering with as to what methodology. And sometimes it's a combination of tools that I'll use to help to get them to understand what's going on with them and get them better. Sometimes also what I'm seeing is, and what I realized is, these people that have been prone to a lot of personal trauma, physical and mental abuse, abuse in their relationships, is because of the energies on the planet being negative, because of all of the outside stressors that weren't there before, i.e. they're on social media on all the time or a lot of the time, so they're feeding into that negative mindset of war and financial ruin and the Epstein files, and all of that is weighing on their soul very heavily. And so as a result, they're overwhelmed beyond capacity and they don't know how to handle it. So what they're doing is they're reverting sort of to what Generation Z has been raised to do, and they're substituting their values and their morals and keeping their word, for instance, in place of insulating themselves to the outside energies. And I'm seeing this more in individuals that are empathic, because they've absorbed all that they can take and they're internally shutting down. And it becomes what their ego is identifying as a sense of self-preservation, when in fact, they really aren't aware of the fact that they're letting other people down, that they're not keeping their word, that they're not doing something that they normally would have done. And they're substituting that for preserving that extra energy for insulating themselves. The ego's got them tricked into thinking that I need to take care of myself and not worry about anybody else, because they're sort of in not even a flight or fight syndrome. It's more of a self-preservation mode, if that makes sense. I hope that you can grasp this concept. If not, go back and listen to it again, because it's a very legitimate thing that I see happening with a lot of folks of our age group, of like Generation X age group. And in addition to that, they see the Gen Zers getting away with murder and not being held accountable. And accountability has taken a huge hit in our nation. And so there's also that subconscious pull. Well, nobody else has to be responsible for their actions, so why must I be too? They're tired. They've fought all their lives. They've struggled all their lives, and they're getting older and they're tired. So something's got to give. Well, when they give something up, it's certainly not going to be something that their ego poses as something that's important to their self-preservation. Much easier for them to push somebody else aside because they don't have to deal with that. That's not something that they can just ignore that person or blow them off. And most ironically, what I see is the people that they blow off are the ones that could truly help them to get over their problems. It's, from what I'm seeing, the people that would normally hold them accountable and have them work through and help them to work through their problems to see what the root of their behavior means and why they're performing that way. And they may be suffering some guilt from that as well. So I have this exercise. It's a meditation for frustration and restoring inner trust. It takes about 10 to 12 minutes. If you could sit comfortably with your feet grounded, hands resting gently in your lap or on your knees, your eyes can be closed or focus them softly. Take a centering breath that takes about 1 to 2 minutes. It's a slow, deep inhale through your nose, feeling your belly expand, and then exhale gently through your mouth, letting your shoulders drop. Do that for 5 or 10 breaths. And on the exhale, silently say, I release what I cannot control. With each inhale, silently say, I return to my center. Then you're going to ground into your body, which takes about 2 minutes. Place both feet firmly on the floor. Feel the support of the earth beneath you. Visualize roots growing from your feet deep into the soil, anchoring you to the center of the planet. Imagine energy flowing up from the earth, filling your legs, spine, chest, and head. This is your support system that no one can shake. And then observe your frustration for a couple of minutes. Bring awareness to the frustration you feel about others' behavior. Name it quietly in your mind. I feel frustrated that promises aren't kept. I feel irritated by dishonesty. Notice how this frustration feels physically. Tightened shoulders, racing heart, clenched jaw, chest pain, chest discomfort. Breathe into those areas. Imagine softening them with each exhale. And remind yourself, their choices are not my responsibility. I am responsible for my peace. Then do an energy cleansing visualization, which takes another couple of minutes. Imagine a golden light above your head. As you inhale, the light enters your body, filling every cell with calm, clarity, and patience. As you exhale, see the light pushing out tension, judgment, and irritation, carrying it away into the earth. Repeat, I release control over what I cannot change. I reclaim my inner calm. And then anchor integrity within yourself. Also takes a couple minutes. Picture a small flame inside of your chest representing your inner integrity, your commitment to honesty, follow through, and reliability. Let it glow brighter with each breath. Recognize the world may not reflect integrity, but your light is untouched. And silently affirm, I act with integrity. I trust myself. I am my own standard. Then take a few slow grounding breaths. Gently wiggle your fingers and toes. Visualize your golden roots withdrawing slightly, leaving you anchored but flexible. Open your eyes if they were closed, and carry the sense of calm, clarity, and personal integrity with you into the day. There's a quicker exercise that you can do that'll take about a minute if you're in public. Breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 counts. Feel your chest and belly expand. Exhale gently for 6 counts, letting tension drop from your shoulders and your jaw. Acknowledge your frustration silently. I feel irritated that others aren't keeping their word. Visualize a calm light in your chest. your personal integrity. Each inhale makes it glow brighter. Each exhale pushes out irritation and judgment. And affirm quietly, I am steady. I act with integrity. Their choices do not shake my peace. And take one final deep breath. Root your feet to the earth and exhale fully, carrying calm and clarity back into your body. You can literally do this anywhere. Okay, let's get into the clippies. I got a triple shot for you from Bonus Fiber Shot, Conspiracy Collective, and Aspiring Alchemist.
So there's a miracle happening right now in a small town outside of Athens, Greece, and science is having a hard time explaining it. So for the last 10 years, a humble beekeeper has kept a very special tradition going. Every year, he places small images of religious icons like the Virgin Mary and Jesus into his beehives. According to him, it's his way of blessing the honey he harvests and blessing his small business that feeds his family all year long. And this is where the miracle comes in. Year after year, the bees will build their honeycombs around the religious icons, avoiding their faces completely. And researchers got curious and started testing it themselves. They tried placing photos of random people and celebrities in the beehives to see if the bees would react the same way. And guess what? The bees covered the photos completely. But when it comes to a picture of Jesus, it's like the bees know not to cover his face. To me, nothing in this world is a coincidence. This is a divine miracle. Nature itself is showing reverence to something greater, a higher power we can't see, but we could definitely feel. I just thought this was such a beautiful story, I had to share it with you guys. Have you guys heard about this before? Let me know in the comments.
So Angelina Jolie is packed up and excited to move to Europe because this is no longer the country that she recognizes. Well, isn't that a shame? Well, a few things before you go. There's just a few things that I was curious if you'd explain. First of all, it was weird that you and Billy Bob Thornton were wearing vials of each other's blood while you were married. And it's cute how you joked about being vampires. But turns out you also had a marital contract signed in blood?
The thing is, we're never going to separate, so it was our way of saying to each other, we just were together forever. We're so in love. We're best friends, and it's, but we kind of signed our life away to each other, and legally, and with blood, that there's no possible way anybody can separate or walk away from this.
It's really interesting, especially considering you also had a friendship with Marina Abramovic, who a lot of us know for other reasons. But of course, there's nothing weird going on there, right? You know, what I find personally interesting, you went to Ukraine twice, which I still can't figure out why you would go. And the places you went is also pretty interesting. You talked about what was going on with these kids during these conflicts. Told all of us that we're not doing enough to protect the kids. And you even went to a children's hospital in Egypt to visit children from Gaza? But then come to find out that you personally invited Jeffrey Epstein to 2 movie premieres and a lunch 6 years after he was convicted? I don't know. None of this is making sense to me. But you know who it does remind me of? Your cousin, Hillary Clinton. Because nothing makes sense with her either. Yeah, so before you move away, could you make it make sense? Thank you.
Angelina, waitress at the pizzeria.
I've gotten over 10 million views and 30,000 comments in the last week across TikTok and Instagram from people that swear on all things holy that my Doritos commercial contest entry from 12 years ago, which did not win, which did not finalize, which did not air, was a famous classic ad all over TV. It's not even just vague memories. I mean, for some people it is vague. Some people just don't even know it at all. But I'm having DMs from so many people where it's a vivid memory that even has like stories attached to it. Like someone's like, oh, I drew that in high school and I made the guy's ear flaps on his hat. I made them giant Doritos, or like I used to quote that with my brother, or like I had an inside joke about this. So it's funny because in an experience like this, first of all, I'm grateful that I practice meditation and nervous system regulation and all these things because, as you can imagine, if you were in a situation like this could easily send a person into a spiral and into psychosis. And it's stirring up a lot of thought processes and different conspiracies. And, a lot of people are saying, well, Doritos is owned by PepsiCo. They're such a powerful company. They can wipe all the evidence and just gaslight us all and all this stuff. And it's just but if it was a Super Bowl commercial, and it was, there's got to be some DVR recording somewhere out there, which hopefully something like that would surface. That would be so cool if we could find some proof of this thing being on the air. But the other thing is maybe it really is just timeline jumping. Maybe this really is realities merging. Maybe I stepped into that version of myself that won the contest all those years ago and won the $1 million or whatever. It's funny, somebody left me a comment the other day where they were this whole case is so wild, I almost feel like it's gonna break the Matrix or something. And I said back to them, my ego really wants this to be something logical that can be resulting in me getting millions of dollars. But my soul kind of feels maybe this is something that's emerging for the world to see, that brings us maybe more understanding of a new paradigm and more understanding of us being interdimensional travelers. But then again, it's well, no, we're just being gaslit and it's all a psyop and it's all this and it's that. So this whole thing is just very strange. But yeah. Also, I don't want to only be making Doritos content. Obviously, I've been only talking about that, but this has stirred up my world. So I'll get back to posting regular videos too. But I'll also keep making some updates here. But yeah, this whole thing has just really thrown me for a loop. Definitely the strangest thing in my life I've ever experienced.
In the living room, lights slowly gather round, crunching Doritos, laughter loud and sound. Memories and nights filled with joy and fun. Friends around, where time just seems to run.
Did you see what I did there, Angelina? Pizza? I know you guys got it. Because you're what?
Savvy?
You know it. In the next clip, Beck Lover has a theory as to why the skies have been clear lately.
Notice how when there's military action going on, the skies are crystal clear. There are no lines, there are no trails. Is it the same in your city? Pay attention to the coincidences. There are no coincidences. It's the first time I've seen the sky, the real sky, in a long time. That's Babylon.
Next up, I got a triple shot. Michael Caine, TFC, and then 2 from Jacqueline from New York City. And after that, Jojo Scarlotta gives his opinion on coming back to New York after a trip down south.
These streets will make you feel brand new. Big lights will inspire you. Hear it for New York, New York, New York.
The state of New York just joined the World Health Organization under the leadership of Governor Kathy Hochul. So Donald Trump removed us from the World Health Organization as a nation. Kathy Hochul just put our state back in. That's why we need to fight back and push back. We're headed to Albany March 24th. We need you to come.
Hey folks, here's the story about Mandami the Mocha.
It's only Tuesday, but this has been such a long week in New York City under Zohran Mandani, so let me catch you up. Let's start off with New York City's First Lady and wife of Zohran Mandani, Rama Duwaji, who will go to the opening of an envelope as long as there are cameras there. Suddenly, the public finds out that she liked over 70 anti-Israel posts on social media, including one saying that the rape of Jewish women on October 7 was a hoax. Suddenly, she's this weirdo who's off limits that no one can talk about because, quote, she's a private citizen per Zohran Mandani. So, 3 days ago, teenage Muslim ISIS-inspired terrorists tried detonating a homemade bomb outside of Gracie Mansion with the sole purpose of killing Americans. The terrorist told investigators that he wanted it, quote, bigger than Boston. Zohran's response? He blamed white people. Since the attack, 3 more bomb scares. That is 4 bomb events in 3 days. As all this is going on, Zohran and Rama host for Ramadan dinner at Gracie Mansion Mahmoud Khalil. Mahmoud Khalil is the guy that we're trying to deport for ties to Hamas. Keep in mind, Zohran Mandani said that violence is an artificial construct. Zohran and his wife are a threat to national security, and they have access to every security briefing, file, and record in New York City. It's only Tuesday. If you think that the power in New York City sits inside City Hall, you're wrong. This is so crazy. There are over 13,000 nonprofits operating in New York City. 1/3 of the Bronx is employed to nonprofits. 1 in 5 private sector jobs in New York City, nonprofit. 21% of Brooklyn works in nonprofits, and every year New York City writes these nonprofits a check for $16 billion. 64% of nonprofit workers are women. 56% are people of color, and 34% are foreign-born. And nearly half of nonprofit workers are under the age of 40. So the politicians might hold the press conferences, but it's really the NGOs and the nonprofits that set the agenda, press the politicians, and really act like a shadow government.
I'm not trying to go back to New York. You spend 2 days in a southern climate, and you literally ask yourself, why do I live where I live? It's 25 degrees and raining in the Staten Island area right now. And I'm in Georgia, 75, little windy, sun, it's beautiful. Not to mention the houses over here are like 200,000. And you actually get a house. It's not 800,000 for a semi. And your neighbor is Linda the nail tech and Anthony the sanitation worker. Time for some change in my life.
Next up, a clippy from Neurodivergent Nate and a comedy one from Iguana Seafood.
I believe Fresno deserves leaders that are honest from the very beginning, not the end. So, going into this, I am putting my life out there.
Up front about his status as a registered sex offender, Rene Campos is not running from his past as he runs for office.
I have been given the chance to rehabilitate through the courts and back into the system.
Charged with being in possession of child sex abuse material back in 2018, the Fresno native says he pled no contest to a misdemeanor charge. Now, launching his campaign to represent District 7 on the Fresno City Council. He says his focus is on safety.
So I say, let's choose somebody outside the box. Somebody who knows the system from inside out. Because me, I've experienced the laws that we are trying to reform right now.
The laws that you broke when you had possession of child, you're a registered PDFer. How the heck are you going to go to a school if you're elected for office? Of course, this is happening in California. Honestly, be so for real.
Hi, can I speak to your supervisor?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm not actually the one in charge.
I need to speak to someone more superior.
Okay. Let me have your hands. You want to bow your head? Lord, this customer wants to speak to someone more superior, and there's no one more superior than you here. So you let me know. Do I send her, or will you come for her? Illuminate her, or eliminate her?
The opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the host and possibly her pets, who occasionally walk across the keyboard, jingle their collars, drink some water when they can't steal mom's coffee, growl while wrestling with their siblings, and even snore at high volumes when they feel slighted and are bored. Any resemblance to actual facts is purely coincidental, and this show is solely for entertainment purposes only. Wink, wink, nod, nod. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, sometimes our brains run on coffee and wishful thinking, and possibly a conspiracy theory or two. This broadcast may contain traces of sarcasm, bad puns, and music to make you dance. Side effects may include spontaneous laughter, eyebrow raises, and the uncontrollable urge to sing along. Listen responsibly.
Next up, Joe Anybody's ringing his bell.
Okay, there's this theory going around about the song Ring My Bell. Just hear me out, this is crazy. Okay, story time. So there is a woman that works in quantum physics. She studied frequency specifically. So she went through music because she thought maybe she could find something interesting with frequencies in music. And that's when she lands on Anita Ward's Ring My Bell. People, she basically said the song is the law of attraction. Because of the frequency it plays, it attracts everything that you want. I had to see it to believe it. Just literally after this video, look this song up and listen to the entire song from beginning to end. You will almost feel a vibration go through your body. A lot of people are saying that when they listen to the song over and over, that they're starting to get money out of nowhere, good things are happening to them. Again, quantum physics expert looked into this and found this one song. And I'm not kidding, once you hear this song at the very beginning with the frequencies, you will feel it go through your body. By the way, they won't even play this song in casinos because it brings money to you. Crazy.
Next up, a double shot from Kate Ayton and Cousin Lair.
The whole scene does not hit the same anymore. Like, I literally DJ, I play guitar out here while I DJ in Chicago, and I'm like wanting to switch my whole entire sound to Christian music. What is even going on? It's crazy. Like, I walk into these clubs or like raves and just feel the evil people doing evil things, demonic entities, and that is real. And most of these people don't even know. Most of these people aren't even hip. Maybe it's my job to go in there and start laying down some like Christian techno. That would be cool to put Bible verses in techno music and then like cast out demons in the club. That's asking for a whole lot of spiritual warfare that I don't know if I can handle by myself. But yeah, when you find God and you go into a techno rave, it's like, what? Bro, the techno shows really don't hit the same anymore once you find God. I literally moved to Chicago to do this, to be in these scenarios, and now I'm like, what am I doing? It's crazy, bro.
Returned my tax return this year after I apparently answered one of their questions incorrectly. In response to their question, do I have any dependents or do I have anyone dependent upon me? I said yes. 9.5 million illegal immigrants, 650 idiots in Washington, 80,000 criminals in Minnesota, and 3.4 million people on unemployment. And then the IRS stated to me that my answer was unacceptable. Then I wrote them back. Did I leave anybody out?
Next up, a video from Miranda Wellness and then a collaboration with Shots by Matta and Miranda Wellness. This is the one that you're going to want to have your kids leave the room for. And if you're in the office, put your headphones on.
You have to look at all of what's going on as another form of harvesting energy and things from human beings. The same thing that they are doing with children, harvesting their adrenaline, adrenochrome, to keep the elites looking young and living for a long time. The same thing they're doing to all of us. When they instill fear in people, these demonic entities feed off of fear. It actually makes them stronger and more powerful. By pushing the word war and whatever they're doing, they're trying to increase the fear so that these demonic entities can feed off of it and live off of it. The whole plan of bringing in a centralized banking system to Iran is what they're still after. Once we're all part of one world currency, one world religion, which is going to deceive a lot of people. That's how they control everything. Just like the tiny hats own the phones that we're recording on, they own our banking systems, they own the food, they control everything. I think what we're going to see now is just like when they were getting kicked out of countries for poisoning wells hundreds and thousands of years ago, we're going to start seeing outbreaks of sickness and whatever. By the way, nukes don't exist. So stop letting the word nuke scare you. But their whole idea now is scaring people with sleeper cells that are going to detonate in major cities, or Middle Eastern people blowing themselves up, blowing up places. A lot of those people are hired. They're all inside jobs. Once that happens, they're going to try to push for high security. That's when they bring in Palantir. High surveillance. To be sure that everybody's remaining safe, we have to bring in high surveillance technology. Just another form of control. Nobody's private life is private. They're listening on everything. I wonder why they made us read the book 1984 in elementary school. Just kind of interesting, because, were they putting those books in schools for predictive programming? Facial recognition is going to be popping up everywhere. They're using the human body to bounce Wi-Fi signals off of us. They can actually identify people just based off of signaling hitting the human body. We've talked about transhumanism. I still think it's a conspiracy. Those are the people that, when 5G is amped up and 6G comes out, wow, we're going to see a lot of strange things happening. All of us are loaded with metals and sensors and chips and whatever, specifically those who were jabbed. Once they amp up those frequencies, so if you're still not preparing for these types of things, those are the people that are going to be very scared. You're not storing water and some supplies, extra gas, taking your money out of the bank and putting it into tangible, high-value metals. You should start doing it now. Take this as another sign. Please start doing that now. They can get to everybody's water supply. It's very easy. If you don't have a filter on your water, you're still drinking tap water, you're still showering in tap water, you're being exposed to a lot of crazy things. Remember, these people have been kicked out of almost every country that they tried to take over. They've been known to poison wells. They do things in secrecy and blame it on other people and other things and other outbreaks and viruses and, oh, these things are naturally occurring. No, they're not.
Okay, so I'm here at Walmart, and Lauren Boebert just did this amazing oversight hearing where they're talking about Fauci's experiments with aborted baby fetuses.
Implant aborted baby parts into lab animals. Have you heard of that sort of research?
Yeah, we did an analysis a few years ago showing that over 90% of experiments with using human fetal tissue and putting them involved animals were funded by Fauci's NIAID.
Do you know where they're getting the aborted human fetal tissue?
A lot of it is happening at colleges and universities that have affiliated hospitals that perform that procedure.
Madam Chair, I think we need to look into that as well.
So the question is, how are they not poisoning themselves? How can they poison us? Okay, so if you come over here and you just look at any product, these are pickles, right? See on the bottom of that pickle where that letter U is right there, that tiny little U? That means kosher. That means it's safe for them to eat. It's safe for us to eat. Goyim, right? So when you hear me tell you that they are literally putting aborted baby fetuses into our food, because when these colleges and these universities and these kids are like, oh, we're going to do a study on whatever product to see what's in it, and they start to test these things, they find that there's DNA in there. Just look at Google. DNA, human DNA found in McDonald's meat. And it won't shock you. So when I play this video, and I'm trying to warn you that they are poisoning us, you should be paying attention. And everything in your cart should either have a U, a K, or one of their symbols on it. At the very least, be organic. But even the organic, I wouldn't trust too much anymore without doing deep research. Going to your local farms and buying products locally at your farmer's market for fresh fruit, and then trying to avoid anything that doesn't have the letter K on it. That way you know you're not being poisoned. Follow Miranda Wellness over on Instagram. This girl is absolutely killing it.
Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think to just Google if they're using human meat in the food supply?
Is all human meat. All human. It's all human. The amount of people killed, sacrificed, ground up, and fed back to you is more than the cattle that's on the earth. Let's put it that way. Okay? We would steer clear of any type of ground meat unless you literally are getting it from a farm where they process their food right there and then. In which case, really it's usually a farm. They've got a little store there. They've got, their own package system, their own meat system. Short of that, we wouldn't recommend any type of ground meat to be consumed if you're concerned with whether you're participating in cannibalism or not. And the biggest issue, besides the obvious, for most people, moral issue of eating another human being, is the energy behind it. And also, your bodies are not designed to consume each other, so they cause it causes health problems as well, and things of that nature. And we know that you all have participated in it so far in your lives. Everybody's been eating this stuff. Everybody's been eating the fast food hamburgers. Everybody's been eating the ground up stuff and things like that. But we're just telling you that it's mostly human meat. It's a cake.
So you're telling me that is human flesh? Exactly. But why human meat? Why not animal meat? That's a very good question. We've got centuries of knowledge of human medicine at our side. We know more about humans than we do about animals. So we've mastered engineering human cells to make these structured flavours and sinews that we expect from the flavours of steaks we eat. That's right. A protein made from human cells.
I never thought in my lifetime that I would ever have to have experience with stories such as these, and I'm sure you guys didn't either. This is absolutely a wild world that we're living in, and there has been testing done that has turned up human DNA, as we've all heard about. The extent of it, though, this is making it sound pretty mainstream, which is disturbing to me if this is in fact true, extremely so, as I can imagine it would be for you as well. So this would be a time for me, again, to encourage everybody to please pray over your food before you consume it. Pray blessings in your house and around your house and environment for whatever is coming out of the sky and being thrown at us energetically through the airwaves. Pray against the principality of the air, and buy locally grown organic meat from a farm or a reputable butcher whenever possible. The bad guys have a contract in which they have to tell us the truth, but they weasel around that by showing us the truth in movies and music and rock videos. And the first movie that comes to mind is Soylent Green, of course, but there have been other references in other movies and movies of human hunting. There's one out now, maybe more than one. And rock videos. There have been a lot of instances of this type of thing shown in different music videos and album covers and jackets and also books. It's everywhere. So they are telling us what they're doing. They're just not coming up on a podium and making a speech about it. Let's lighten the mood with a little St. Patty's Day stuff. Double shot from Olivia E. Herman and I Am Colin Quinn.
In the Northeast. Why do you think so many Irish and Italian people married each other? I mean, first of all, it was very taboo. Back in the day, I mean, my grandfather, 100% Italian, my grandmother, 100% Irish. They got married, they loved each other, but it was, I mean, today, everyone's like, I'm Irish, I'm Italian, I'm this, I'm that, but back then, but like something, and it's so prevalent in the Northeast, something had to have drawn these two, really cultural forces together. Aside from, of course, the food and the booze. I mean, it was a perfect party.
Why were all the New York cops Irish? Because the police academy was Catholic school. And nobody likes to admit it, but a good cop should have the combination of the listening skills of a good bartender and the unpredictable violence of a nun. Now,
Pay attention and listen, because former Marine Scott Ritter explains that the United States and Israel are defenseless against Iran. Look.
No missile launchers have been hit. Let's just stop the nonsense. Have you seen the evidence? What we know is they're hitting decoys. I mean, they may have hit one or two missile launchers, but the point is, Iran's missile capability to deliver missiles has not been interdicted at all. Zero. This mathematical
But the missiles, why did they drop the amount of missiles they fired? Because they should continue. I understand it's a war of attrition, but if they keep firing missiles, then the air defense systems, the munitions that are already depleted, will deplete even further. Everyone's talking about depleted munitions on the Israeli side, on the American side, on the Gulf side. So wouldn't it make sense for Iran to keep firing those missiles to deplete the munitions even further?
They already have. I think Israel's down to firing Pac-2 Patriots, which means they can't shoot anything
down. They're out of pack 3, which means they're already safe. They're out. They can't shoot anything down. That was proven last night. They simply can't shoot it down. So if you're Iran, you continue to fire 50-year-old missiles, which is what they've been firing, which, to absorb missile defense, or you have to transition to the big guns. Now that they can't shoot you down, now that they can't defend, now it's time to deliver the real damage, the real harm. They said they're going to turn Tel Aviv upside down. This war doesn't end until Tel Aviv is turned upside down. Israel doesn't get to carry out a surprise attack against Iran and walk away clean. That isn't going to happen. There will be a price that's going to be paid. The same thing with the United States. Iran will not accept an off-ramp because to allow a ceasefire to take place at this time means you simply allow the United States and Israel to hit the reset button, and then you're going to do this all over again. This has to be the last time Israel ever thinks about launching an attack against Iran. It's over for Israel. It's done. Netanyahu gambled and he lost. And the proof is that they're looking for an off-ramp. If Israel was confident, remember just yesterday they were saying, we're in it for the long run. This war could last a long time. Now they're looking for an off-ramp. Why? Because they know the truth. They are defenseless, and Iran's about ready to bring the hammer. And they know that, and they know what's about to happen. So they're looking for an off-ramp. It's an act of desperation. Why would Iran concede all of the advantages it has accrued so far?
This next clip, also by Sage Trade SXRP. I spoke about this in an interview that I did last night on Riscala's Red Pill reality show, that there could very well be another 9/11 staged attack in California. This is something that we need to be paying attention to, these false flags, because if this happens, this is going to usher in the Palantir-based systems, which will result in more spying on the American people, a lot more. And this is something I've been talking about on my shows, is with the PSYOPs, what they'll do is they already have an answer in place, what they want to see happen, and they'll provide a scenario and create these false flags. And then the people will panic, and the people, because out of desperation, tend to turn toward the government to look to them for help and to keep them safe, will embrace the further security measures, LOL, to be able to keep our country safe, LOL. But really what they're doing is they're instituting more ways to spy on us, i.e. more cameras on the streets, less privacy for our citizens, all of that. This is a way for them to usher in what they want. It's a setup. So this one, I think you should pay attention to. It's eerily reminiscent of what happened during 9/11 and the liberties that we lost as a result of that fiasco. See what you think.
A second 9/11 World Trade Center attack is going to happen again. And it's not going to be in New York. It is going to be in California. And it's going to be the U.S. Bank Tower, because Larry Silverstein owns the U.S. Bank Tower in Los Angeles. This is the same person that made $4.5 billion in insurance after 9/11. And he ate every single day at the Twin Towers on the 91st floor of the North Tower. On the day of 9/11, he was not there. That was the only day Silverstein was not in the Twin Towers.
Nothing is coincidence, folks, so paid some attention to this, and I feel like if it happens, it'll be before the end of March, I betcha. And it may happen in more than one spot. While you enjoy the next promo, please grab a pen or a pencil because the recipe's up next. The entry music, sometimes my halftime music, and the ending music are all provided by my good buddy Pat Carr, a wonderful original musician from Louisiana, now residing in Colorado. You can check him out at http://www.itunes.com/Pat Carr. That's at AllMusic, Apple Music, YouTube, SoundClick, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes. He is all over the place. Please check him out, support his music, and tell him Maggie sent you. So this is the s'mores cookie bake from Jordan the Stallion 8, but in his recipe he made a mistake. It's actually a half teaspoon of baking soda, not a half tablespoon.
First, we need the dry ingredients: a half cup of brown sugar, a third cup of regular sugar, 1 1/4 cup of flour, and then a half tablespoon of baking soda, a little bit of salt. Half cup of melted butter, 1 egg. Next, you fold in the chocolate chips. Next, we're going to layer the bottom of the pan with graham crackers. I have cinnamon graham cracker. We're going to take half of the cookie dough and put it on top. Next, cover with marshmallows. We're going to take pieces of milk chocolate and we're going to put them on top of the marshmallows. Now we bake at 350 for 25 minutes. Oh, sweet goodness, look at that.
And we have a pastry that's known all over the world. It's called a cannoli with cream inside. Here's where they make the mistake. They say, can we have a few cannolis? Do you know what cannoli means in Italian? Up your cookie, that's what it means.
And finally, we're back on the Gen X track with Bubsy Boopsy and Gen X Jono.
It's time for Boomers and Gen X to sit down.
Oh, you want the Boomers and Gen X to sit down? Well, sweetheart, Gen X would love to sit down. We fantasize about it. We dream about it the way you dream about becoming a digital nomad after quitting your third job this quarter. You think we're standing because we crave control? No, we're standing because if we sit down, the Wi-Fi goes out, the payroll freezes, the lights flicker, and somebody schedules a mental health summit to discuss why the printer feels unheard. Gen X isn't as in charge. We're not. We're just the duct tape holding all the dysfunctional daycare together. We're not CEOs. We're the CPR. We're the middle child of generations. The Boomers built it and Gen Z critiques it, and we're in the basement resetting the damn breaker because somebody microwaved a Pop-Tart in the foil again. You want us to sit down cool, take the wheel, but historically speaking, some of y'all can't even hold a job longer than seasonal pumpkin spice release without posting a resignation reel about toxic vibes from Linda because she didn't validate your aura. You don't want to run the world, you just want to rebrand it. You don't want responsibility, you want reimagining. You don't want a full workday, you want a flexible framework featuring feelings, ferns, and frequent feedback. And listen, change is fine, progress is good, we like progress, but progress requires perseverance, and perseverance requires staying in something longer than 2 months without announcing, I'm pivoting. You say sit down like we're hogging the throne, but baby, there ain't no throne. It's a folding chair from 97 with one leg shorter than the other, and we've been balancing on it since before dial-up. We don't want power, we want peace. We don't want control, we want a damn nap. But until somebody proves they can work a full shift without needing a spirit journey and a Slack announcement about their boundaries, we're just going to stay standing. Not because we think we're better, but because if we don't, everything stops. And sweetheart, we're tired, but we ain't stupid.
More proof that the world we grew up in no longer exists? I've been at the Central Florida Fair now for 3 days, and I have not once heard a parent being summoned to the main office because of a lost or missing child. Not once. Dude, growing up, that was like every hour on the hour at the mall alone. Mr. and Mrs. Gatrides, would you please report to the mall office? Your son Johnny is here waiting for you. But no, thousands of people at the Central Florida Fair. Lots of things to draw kids' attention, and yet, not once did I hear, please come down and pick up your child. Now, the other way that the world's changed is, had I actually heard that, I'm reasonably sure parents would have rushed to pick up their kid. When I was lost many times at the mall, yeah, pretty sure my parents made sure they finished their shopping before picking me up. That way they shopped in peace.
And that's my show for tonight, folks. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Remember, for any of your physical, spiritual, mental, or emotional needs, get a hold of me at Maggie, MAGGIE_heart @outlook.com. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.